Hi, everybody. I'm Marguerite Rigoglioso of Seven Sisters Mystery School, and I'm delighted to be part of DeAnna Lamb's third annual telesummit, this one being on freedom in our wisdom years. I didn't know if I should be honored or insulted that DeAnna invited me to speak on menopause. I thought, how does she know I've been through or I'm going through menopause? Don't I look too young for that? And I think that sort of sets the tone for how we generally tend to look at menopause. It is seen as kind of like an ending of your beauty, an ending of your sexuality, and an ending of, therefore, power as we know it in modern society. And I think that probably one of the reasons for this telesummit, and certainly what I'm looking at, is how are the menopause years really empowering? What does this really mean? Because in so many other cultures, coming into your elder years is all about taking on more power and stepping into your power rather than losing it. So, um, how going through my menopause, which I'm 90% through, in March, I will not have had my period in a year, and how that's different from my menarche. When I went through my menarche, I was secretly really proud. And even though there wasn't really a celebration that I had, um, deep down, I knew that it was my stepping into adulthood. Stepping into my menarche, I would say, I feel secret shame. And I'm just going to state that honestly and outright because I think this is what needs to be exposed. And it's what I'm working on. Because the fact of the matter is, my menopause, I hope I said that right, when I was stepping into my menopause. Now, my menopause began 2 years ago when I was 51 in Delphi. I know that it began then because I had an unusually shortened period time. I had a period at Delphi, that famous oracular center. And after that, I didn't have my period for months in a row. Then I had it again a few times, then I didn't have it. And they say that if you haven't had it for a year, you have officially gone through menopause. But the fact that it started at Delphi is very significant because at Delphi, initially, the women who gave the oracles, the psychics, the prophets, were those who had just gone through their menstruation until they started getting raped. And then there was a transformation and a reform, and they made it so that the women had to be 50. And the ancient words are, it had to be a woman who had had enough of men. So in a sense, it's talking about a menopausal or postmenopausal woman. And there I was stepping into that, and it's as though, my karma and ancient history were saying, remember, this is another passage of stepping into your power. This isn't really just about shame. And that comment of a woman who had had enough of men irked me. And I thought, what is that really all about? As I've been going through menopause and the hormones have been calming down, I'm realizing that I'm released of that hunger, that sort of constant gnawing sexual hunger. And in a great sense, it's a relief because I feel that it allows me to make my choices around men from a much more sober, wise, measured perspective rather than a kind of an anxious perspective. And that made me start thinking, well, what are the hormones? Why was the human organism made with hormones? Is this just some mistake on the part of our creators? Um, and then I realized, well, the hormones must be a sacred part of the whole enterprise. And they're to be honored when they're there and when they're cycling. And when they are kind of ebbing, that's also to be honored. And it's just important to flow from menstruation, menarche into menstruation, into menopause in a very easy, kind of way, that flow, that acceptance, that allowance is what needs to be happening. So that's what I would recommend to younger women or to my younger self, just to accept each phase and to accept the beauty and the power and the benefits, because the benefit of being released from the hunger is considerable, because I can sort of focus my energy on other things. Another thing that has come up for me as a clairvoyant woman is the idea that the hormones are so much to be respected that it's best not to take artificial hormones during and after the menopausal period. The what we call the heat surges, I call them power surges. I don't call them hot flashes because I think that's a diminishing term. I call them power surges. I believe they're there, and I first heard this idea in Vicki Noble's book Shakti Woman. I believe they're there to flush out any kind of toxins and to purify us against any kind of dis-ease. And in fact, whenever I've heard descriptions of miraculous healings against, um, death-wielding illnesses and so forth, oftentimes the person will experience a hot flash, a great amount of heat that goes through the body. So I would say, women, if at all possible, do not take artificial bioidentical hormones. Don't put your body through that. Allow it to do what it needs to. Allow the power surges to be there for the purification and the amplification that they are doing for you. So those are just a few of my thoughts about menopause. I am really interested to see what this rest of my journey is all about. In March, I've decided, as a result of doing this film, that I'm going to have a party. If I do not have my period by then, I'm going to have a party to mark that. I don't really see it so much as cronehood as a kind of a stepping into a new level of power as a mature woman. Cronehood will come later. So these are some of the things that I'm thinking about as I think about menopause. And I just wanted to mention that I work with women on a host of issues, and men, that have to do with your spiritual development and your sacred career development. And so if you're interested in finding out more about what I do, you can go to my school and my website, sevensistersmysteryschool.com, and the seven is spelled out Seven. There are many free resources you can get on my emailing list. I have many different offerings online and in person all the time related to spiritual development, clairvoyant development. And I do personal one-on-one readings and spiritual mentoring with people. So please don't hesitate to see that website, and also to contact me at info@sevensistersmysteryschool.com if you'd like to know more. I want to really thank DeAnna Lamb for inviting me once again to be a part of her brilliant, brilliant offering here, and I wish you many blessings. Bye-bye.